Welcome to this week's how-to. We're going to be getting together with Stephen, who's going to show us how to put together a Harken Furler, sharing some observations and pro tips along the way. Check the description below to find the actual instruction manual to that Harken Furler, as well as other useful links to the tools and parts that the yacht rigger likes to use when putting these furlers together. Now let's not delay and get into it.
All right, quick video here about the Harken Mark IV Unit 2 furler that we're building for the Island Packet. So right now we have all the parts laid out on the bench, and so you can see here we have the lower turnbuckle assembly with the swage stud, all these blue wave parts here. This is a Harken specific toggle that we have going on the bottom, and then basically we have the furler laid out to make sure it's all going to fit. So we have the link plates here for the bottom that will connect to the bottom toggle, just so you get an idea of how this thing goes together. These link plates here will be attached to the bottom of the drum, and they will create space between the bottom of this drum and the stem head fitting, so that when your anchor comes up, and we can show this on board later, but when the anchor comes up, the anchor won't beat up the furling drum. Then we have the furling drum itself that the line wraps around when you're unfurling the sail. And then right here we have the lower foil extrusion that has these little handy notches in it, you can see right there, that engage with the clamp or lock fitting that's on here, and that stops this from sliding down, because it would be really bad if all these foils under gravity slid down and sat and jammed down on the swage fitting. So they want to be floating free on the wire, just so your furler can spin as smoothly as possible. So now as we make our way up, you can see this is the pre-feeder, fits in this little machined out slot that Harken has done here, and then each one of these extrusions is going to be slid onto the wire, and then a joiner sleeve is going to be installed, and I'll show you one of those right here. Okay, so this is the joiner piece that's going to connect two foil extrusions together. So I'm not going to fully join these, but this will give you a really good idea of how these go together. This piece gets slid in here, and then there's two set screw holes that are placed right here, and something unique that Harken does, and I'm no engineer, but it seems to work, it's pretty clever, to stop any play and rattle between all the fittings. This little plastic piece gets slid into this groove that's cut in the joiner, and then it gets slid up in there. So once it's in place, it's actually pretty tight. I'm not going to do it right now just because it's kind of a pain to pull it back out. But then you actually inject some 5200 adhesive sealant into this little hole here, and it fills this void, these little machined out grooves, so the joiner fits really nice and tight in there. So if you're ever taking one of these apart, you'd have to heat it up to essentially cook the 5200 to make it turn to liquid so you can get it back out. And then also there are these little bearings, because when the wire is spinning around in here, so it's not making hard contact with the metal of the wire, this right here, otherwise it would really load up. These plastic bushings are installed in two halves. Above and below, they lock in place on this on these little ears right here. So the wire is essentially spinning on this black Delrin or acetol. So it's a really nice, smooth, protected function.
So that clips together and goes on the inside?
Correct, and floats up here.
Okay.
So yeah, this, show how this goes together. This just slips onto the wire. And then these two halves, I'm probably going to do this upside down the first time. Oh no, look, I didn't. That engages there, and once it's trapped up inside the foils, there's no room. It can't disengage because these are asymmetrical, so it just rotates. It can't come apart once it's in there. So it just rotates, and the wire then is mostly making contact with the plastic.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You know the very long joiner sleeve is for the bottom? Cool. Okay. Something that Harken is really well known for is bearings. So this is a really good example of just how well this furler functions, and you might be burning up some pretty significant time on film if you wait for this thing to stop.
Wow, that's cool. What's some of the biggest ways that the Harken would be different than, say, the Selden furler?
So Harken uses synthetic ball bearings in their races, which is why the furler spins like it does. And so the benefit is there, it spins a little more easily, a little more smoothly, but it's maybe not quite as robust because Selden has a stainless race with stainless ball bearings. So the Selden one may not spin as fast and freely, but you can grease it and lube it for years and years to come. And so maybe get a little more life out of it. The Harkens are also serviceable. You can take them apart. Some people prefer the speed of furling of the Harken unit over the maybe robustness. I don't want to say the Harkens aren't robust, but the stainless steel bearings just have a longer life, in my opinion.
Yeah, just trade off between them.
Yeah,
right. Just
exactly.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the black looks cool.
Me too.
Yeah, so you can see it squeezes out on both sides. As soon as you see just a little bit come out into the screw hole, you got enough.
Well, that's it for this simple how-to in putting together a Harken Furler. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. Ask those questions, and I will make sure that the appropriate marine pros get back to you and answer to the questions. Also, make sure you're checking out the links for all the useful resources down there. Thank you for your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm making it easy. All right, go ahead.
Right. Okay, quick video here about the Harken Mark IV Unit 2. I'm like, yeah, great start there. Yeah.
Harken, what?
I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, right.